road is rough. Yeah. Hi everyone, my name is Marvel. Welcome back to the YouTube channel. Thank you guys again for tuning in. I really do appreciate you all. If you're finding me for the first time, my name is Marvel. From the Democratic Republic of Congo, but I currently live in the United States of America. I do travel to Africa at least once a year because I'm, doing business there. And the ultimate goal is to eventually move back over there. These roads are rough. They're getting renovated and stuff. And I feel like my car is is getting torn up. But anyways, well, alright, sorry, I got a little distracted there. So I was saying my name is Marvel, I'm from Congo, but I do live in the United States of America. I do business in Congo, in the Democratic Republic of Congo in Africa. I talk about farming, doing farming activities in Africa on my channel. So if that sounds like something you're more interested in, you could I will encourage you to check out my videos. I have a whole playlist about pig farming on there, which I believe you will find very fascinating and informative. In the event you are trying to getting into agriculture or farming in general. With that being said, today's topic is a little bit different from what I'm used to talking on my YouTube channel. I think it's very important to consider this topic among everything else, right? Because I traveled to Congo. I've been to Congo at least 4 times since I've been living in America, and I feel like I'm in a much better position to tell you guys what you should expect in terms of expenses, and but to answer the questions, right, whether $1,000 is enough money to live off of in Africa, well, that I will have to allow people to join the chat so we can talk about it. All right. Oh man, this road is rough. Now, can you guys see me at least? Because it feels like there's something is coming through the opposite way, and I'm driving in a whole different direction, but it's all good. Hopefully you guys can see me. But at the same time, I'm going to allow a few more minutes for y'all to join the chat, and then we could talk about this subject. But if please do me a favor when you join the chat, hit the like button, and please let me know in the comment section where you're tuning in from, and I will really appreciate it. So I got a little more time to allow more people to join before we get this started. Depending on how many people I have watching, it will determine whether I should move forward with this discussion or I should just call it a day. But I would appreciate you guys if you show me love by hitting that like button and also letting me know where you're tuning in from. That lets me know, or maybe tells me where my audiences are coming from. All right, I think it may not be important to you, but that is important to me. So if you support that, please just manifest that in the comment section below. All right. So okay, it feels like there are some people joining the chat now. Is revitalizing my goal to continue this chat. But please, guys, do me a favor: hit the like button, and please let me know where you're tuning in from. So without wasting any more of your precious time, I think it's time for us to get started. Listen, guys, to answer the question whether $1,000 is enough to live off of in Africa, the answer is yes and no. Well, let me explain. It depends on individuals, all right? So if you're the kind of person who loves to live lavish kind of lifestyle, and you are picky on certain locations and certain things that you expect from your housing, for instance, $1,000 could run out pretty quickly. But if you're a kind of person who does not mind the area and you want to stay within your budget, $1,000 or even slightly less could be just enough to get you by. First of all, I want to get this kicked off by sharing my experience after traveling back and forth to Congo 4 times in the past 13 years, okay? Now, I gotta tell you this. When you are spending money on restaurants, all right, rather than cooking at home, your expenses will add up pretty quickly. My memory is still fresh to remember my last trip back in 2023, which wasn't too long ago. How much money I spent on that trip. I'm talking about food, going out to eat with friends, family members, right? And doing certain, other activities, not including flying tickets. I easily spent between 3,500 to 4,000 US dollars. Why? Because first thing I do when I landed, I touch down, I get together with my family, we say a little prayer, I go to my mom's or whatever, and then I will give her money. She would buy food, and I'll just go eat at my mom's house, all right? Or sometimes they'll send my niece or my nephew to drop off food at my place. So that way I'm still eating at my mom's, right? But I don't do it every single day though. I got days where I go out with friends, we go to a nice restaurant, go out we go out to a bar, we have few drinks, we have, dinner, lunch, whatever. And sometimes I'm paying, right? And transportation, of course. If I was driving a personal vehicle, you have to look into your gas expenses. I gotta look into if I wasn't driving a private vehicle, I have to rely on public transportation. That adds up too. But people don't really include those into their budget, but those things can add up pretty quickly, especially knowing how crazy the traffic is in Kinshasa. For the most part, because I haven't spent more time in any other city in Congo other than Kinshasa alone, because that's my hometown. Most of my family members are out there, and my friends are also over there, right? So that adds up pretty quickly. That's just like on the food side. When I include rent, which when I spend like at least 6 weeks, which is always my target, which seems like a reasonable amount of time when I'm in Kinshasa. I mostly end up paying at least $1,600 on rent pretty easily, right? Are there options where are there like much more cheaper options than spending $1,600? Absolutely yes, but that also comes with a lot of inconveniences and consequences, like security issues, electricities, and other utilities included, and so forth. So you have to consider your safety when you going to certain African countries, right? Whether it is for vacation or to live there permanently. So the area where I stay in, the house or the apartments where I rent from, that's about how much it cost me when I spent 6 weeks over there in Kinshasa. But that's considered more like a mid area between higher end, or what you would consider like 5 stars, and like the much lower size. I'm somewhere in between, right? and that's about how much it costs me. But if you are more, or you have like expensive taste and you want to live more lavishly than I do, then your expenses could go a little more, even higher than what I usually spend when I go to Congo. Which, by the way, led me to make a decision that I wanted to build my own apartment. So when in the future I go to Congo, whether it is to visit family or for business purposes, I don't have to stay at anybody else's place by my own. Luckily, I've already owned two residential properties in Kinshasa, and I've built just a one bedroom apartment in one of them, which is going to be complete in the next couple of weeks when I resume activities down there. It's pretty much built and done. When time comes, I will share that on my YouTube channel if I deem it's appropriate or if I deem it's necessary to do so. You understand? So that right there is going to cut my expenses almost in half. When I said it cost me about between 2,400, 30 or 500 to 4 grand in my last trip. That's with rent included. So my rent there cost me 1,600 bucks. So if I spend 3,500, let's just say 4,000 minus 1,600, so it gives you an idea. So now I'm including like family members showing up, asking you for money or for help or whatever you. So all of that is included. But if you go to Congo or to go to Africa, you want to stay at a family member or at your parents' house where you don't need to pay rent, right? And you don't go out as often to eat or to drink. You just want to, you know, to go to the market every single day, buy fresh food, cook by yourself at home, and then eat to stay on budget. You could do that. But I do know for a fact that most of us living in diaspora, whenever we are visiting in Africa, we want to get our money worth. We want to get the most from a buck, right? You want to go to different places. You want to go to touristic sites. You want to explore more places that you never got a chance to explore when you've lived there before you move out of the country, right? So it's almost damn near impossible for you to spend to live under, I'd say, 3 grand, right? You will want to get an apartment or stay at a hotel that's in a much more secure area, which the cost will be, where the cost will be much higher than your most friendly neighborhood place where you're more comfortable with. For some reason I don't understand, a lot of people when they move out of the country, they come back, whether to visit, they want to stay at areas where like it's more expensive than what they're used to before they left the country, right? So me, in contrary, I resides within the same area or district I grew up in. Not necessarily the same town, but in a whole different town, but just in a much better house. I could easily save money staying at my mom's house, but I chose not to take that route because, you know, I may have people coming over, or I want more privacy, and I don't want everybody being in my business at my mom's place, if you know what I mean. You see what I'm saying? So $1,000 could go a long way in Africa, because there are a lot of people who barely makes $500 a month, but they live in neighborhoods where rent costs like between $50 to $70, and they buy groceries and still have enough money saved up, you know, to just at least have a little something going into their saving account or whatever. But sometimes we take these things you know, for granted when we are visiting from abroad, not realizing that people, like local people, they stay within their budget based on what they earn. But if after living in the West for so long, your expectations will be probably will exceed most locals, and you will have the tendency of living in a much nicer area, and probably go to like different or nicest restaurants in that town, spending more money than a regular local guy who go to Malewa, for instance, to eat. For those of you watching that are not from Congo, Malewa is basically a version of restaurants that most like local restaurants where, like, conditions aren't as comfortable as most, like, let's just say like a Hilton, a restaurant at a hotel like a Hilton, or you know it's like a 5-star hotel restaurants. That's what I'm trying to say. All right, where food will cost you way less money, where you're probably sweating as you eating because there's no air conditioner on there in that place or whatever. So that's, those are the things that will probably save you money. But $1,000, it's unrealistic for a visitor from, like, an African who has moved out of the country and going back to visit. But if you are moving back to live permanently, I could see $1,000 being enough to get you by. Again, only if you choose to live a certain lifestyle that doesn't require you going out every single day to eat at different restaurants. It's okay to go out every now and then, to try different restaurants and different food and different experience, or go to adventures, for instance. But when you're living at a place permanently, you will probably cut down on those unnecessary expenses, because most of us have the propensity of doing those activities when we are visiting for the first time in a long time, because you don't live there. You're only there for a certain amount of time. When that time is up, you're flying back and you're living your life. So consider it more like, let's just say me, right? I live here in the United States. I work here. My life is pretty much here for the most part. But do I go out every day to eat? Absolutely not. I mean, I eat at home, but every now and then, if I don't feel like cooking anything, what do? I go to a restaurant, I eat nice meal, I come home and I'm chilling, right? Or if I feel like I want to grab a drink, if there's no, if I'm not hanging out with friends and it's a weekday, everybody's at work, there is no need knocking on people's door to have drinks with them, right? I will go to a wine and spirit, buy a bottle of liquor, wine, or go to a beer distributor, get me a 6-pack or whatever I'm in mood for. I bring it home, I eat, I drink, and I'm chilling, right? So I just spent less money. Versus if I go out, I order drinks at a restaurant, I order food, it's going to cost me a lot more compared to if I went to Walmart. Let's just say I bought me a steak or chicken breast and a bag of rice, some ingredients, and stop the wine and spirit, buy food. I invest time in cooking and stay at home. I'll probably have enough food, to get me through. I'll probably have enough to eat for like 3 or 4 days in a row for the same price I'll be maybe spending at a restaurant, right? So I guess it just depends on people. Some people just gotta like that. They can spend endlessly and money is not gonna be an issue. But for some of us who have to consider our budget, you have to make sure that you are, so that you don't just end up broke after you pay, right? Or at the end of the month after paying all your bills. And so what I'm saying? So living in Africa is the same as living anywhere in the world. A lot of people move to Africa with in mind thinking that life is cheaper, food is way cheaper. They won't have to spend a whole lot of money. But let me tell you something. If that's what your impression, you're wrong. You are wrong. Okay? Even if you chose to purchase a home or a plot of land in a village somewhere where the land price is way cheaper, but it's still going to cost you a lot more money to build a home, because I know you're not about to build a hut, right? You'll want to build a much more comfortable place. That right there is going to cost you a lot more money to begin with. When you grow your own food, that's even a way better option, because you get to save a lot more money. But if you look into it, that's more physical work to harvest your food that you're growing on your own. Whereas someone who does not want to go through planting, from planting, watering, caring for the crop until the harvest time, they'll rather just go to a grocery store to buy their food, come home and cook. And that's fine. So there is nothing wrong with either way, but it just depends on what's more comfortable for you. You know what I'm saying? There are people who don't mind growing their own food. And because if that's the route you choose, being in Africa is your best bet, because the soil is so fertile that growing food there, it's not going to give you a hard time. You grow food in every season, whether it is rainy season or dry season. Okay, so there are possibilities in Africa. That's all I'm trying to say. But people are under the impression that when they move to Africa, automatically lives become easy. $1,000 is a lot of money in Africa. Depending on how you are willing to spend your money on, or how you're willing to spend it. You want to stay within the budget. Just don't like go out and eat every single day, or just buy food, cook your own food, and make your own drinks. Or every now and then you can go out and eat if you don't feel like cooking. But if you're not kind of person who don't have that kind of time to be spending time in the kitchen like that, well, be prepared to spend over $3,000 a month, including your rent and many other expenses, just like we do it out here in America. But if you're that kind of person who just like to live a simple life, you don't want all the bells and whistles, you should be fine. I can see myself living off of $1,000 easily in Africa after building my own crib the way I want to build, and I don't have to eat at a restaurant every single day. A good thing about budgeting in Africa as well is also, first of all, you could hire a maid who do all of these things for you for much less than you would do here in the West. For the most part, people who can afford it, they will just hire a maid that cook for them every single day. That way they get all different type of meals, right, when they go out. Don't get me wrong, I mean, no matter how much money you're willing to save, or by not eating out more often, there is still time where it is needed. Don't get me wrong. I'm saying, when you're meeting friends that you went to high school with and you haven't seen them in years, or family members you haven't had a chance to meet since you were out of the country, every now and then you may take them out, or you may go out with people, whether it is you paying for everything or share the bill with them. Those will happen. But for the most part, if you just want to remain within your budgets, you could do that and still stay under the $1,000 threshold. You understand what I'm saying? But most people would not be able to do that, because when you're back in Africa, man, that freedom and everything going on in the culture and everything else, you will find things to do every single day. Life isn't as boring in Africa as it is out here in the West. I find it so ironic when people say that, people over there in the West making more money, they are happier and they live in their best life. That's the contrary. People think we make more money just because when you convert the currency based on people's salaries, it seems like a lot of money compared to what people make back home. But if you look at living standard, like the cost of living, you know, how much the rent costs, how much you spend on groceries, how much you spend on haircut, clothing, and everything included, we're basically the same. Like most Americans live paycheck to paycheck. You know, that's why you would consider, you know, how people live in Africa as well. So something I find very bothersome, and at the same time also laughable is that, for instance, in Congo, right, you will see people striking from different companies for not being paid for more than 12 months, right? But ask yourselves, what I mean, if somebody didn't get paid for 12 months, you would assume that person um, either was already evicted from their house where they rent from, right? Or their kids will not would drop out of school, right? Wrong. They still figure out ways to pay their bills, to pay the rent, send their children to school. You will see a professor who's making, I would say, let's just say $500, but he has children who's going to college or private schools where academic or tuition is costs more than their salaries, and they don't only have the one child at the university. He had probably more than 3 or 4 going at the same time. And I tried to wrap this around my head, like, how is he even able to afford tuition with his salary? Because it exists other strategies how people make money over there, right? I don't agree with those practices, but those have been the reality for a very long time. Don't ask me how is that possible. It is the system. Until that system changes, that's how it is, guys. And I always joke about when people always, right, I'll ask you for money from Africa, I always tell them, dude, the same sentence that we all say, oh, Nazampiaka, is for those of us from Congo, right? Basically mean I'm broke, right? I ain't got no money. People be saying that before I was born. I'm 32 years old, right? People been saying that before I was born. I grew up, I started saying that. I came to America, people still saying that. You will think that if you don't send money to those people, they're never gonna make it. Trust me. Whether you send their money or not, they're always going to congregate at a bar or a restaurant, have a good time without your money. They still make sure they figure out ways to do that. So people get fooled, and people talk about misery of our brothers and sisters back in the continent, but in reality, it really is not. If anything, for those of you that sent money endlessly to family members or friends in Africa, you're getting played big time. I'm not saying you should not send money. If it's a true emergency or a medical emergency, something you really need to intervene to help out, go ahead and do that. But mostly, it's bullshit. They maybe want to go out with friends or, you know, celebrate their birthday so you can send them a little something. You understand what I'm saying? Well, I kind of went out of topic for a little bit, but I just kind of felt that it was necessary to mention that. But to top it all off, I guess the answer here, it just depends upon what you prefer or what it is comfortable for you. If, you know, cooking every day is something that doesn't bother you, I can see you living, you know, off of $1,000 a month. But if spending time in the kitchen isn't something that you are willing to do, and you feel like you want to go to different restaurants, try different cook from different chefs or whatever, be my guest, but be prepared to spend over $3,000 or even more, depending on places are you visiting when you are out there in Africa. But you know, that's just my opinion on this topic. Please let me know in the comment section if your opinion is different. Please share your experience from the last time you visited Africa, how much money you spent, what was your budget. Do you think $1,000 is enough money to live off of it, even when you stay within your means? Do you think it is not possible to live off $1,000 depending on the location, please drop it in the comment section down below so we can have that discussion. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Happy Tuesday. Until the next video, I'll see you guys soon. Peace out.